gorgeous ones, it's Emma Jane here, your Quantum Akashic Guide. And I have a very, very deep question for you today that may for some of you create a bit of a trigger. And that is, are you willing to surrender control? Now, in terms of our emotional eating, in terms of our body image issues, even eating disorders, so much of it comes down to control. And obviously this is just one facet of life. But the control factor can be applied to pretty much any area of your life. So I'm wondering if you are willing and can you surrender control? What fear does that raise in you right now as I ask you that? For many of us, we seek control because it allows us to have control over the chaos that is going on. If I can dive into the whole eating disorder thing for a moment, for so many teens who develop eating disorders, it does come from that need for control. Often they have something going on, such as trouble in school, or their parents might be getting divorced, or there might be some other external thing going on that is completely out of their control, that they have no way of having any effect on, right? But their eating and their exercise and their bodies are something that they can then control. They can control whether or not they eat. They can control whether or not they exercise and how much they do. They can start to control whether or not they lose or gain weight. And it's no different for us as adults, regardless of the behavior, regardless of the situation. When we are seeking control, it is because in some way we are feeling powerless around what is going on around us, to those external things, or even in some cases it might be that internal chaos that comes from growth and from healing, or wanting to step away from who we were to become who we want to be. But when we surrender control, we then open up these new opportunities and these new pathways and these new possibilities. The other thing I want to mention in regards to control is that we get to use it to keep us safe. So as I mentioned with the teens and eating disorders, when everything is completely chaotic around you, when you have no control over what's going on at school, if they have no control over what's going on with their families, that control over their eating allows them to be safe. It's something they can control. It's something that they can dictate. It's their own little kind of bubble. The same happens with us with our emotional eating as adults. You might not be able to control the triggers, or it might feel like you can't control the triggers. It might feel like you can't control your emotions or your responses to them, but what you can control is whether or not you eat. And by choosing to eat, it means that you get to control whether or not you feel what's going on. It means you get to control whether or not you face the truth at that moment, or whether or not you push it down or you ignore it, or whatever else. So how is the thing that you are trying to control right now keeping you safe? And what are you trying to control? Where are you trying to feel more powerful, feel more worthy and deserving in a kind of roundabout way through control? Because control is really about power, and when we feel like our power has been taken from us from whatever circumstance, then we seek to control it. If we can surrender that control though, then we get to step back into our power. So I have 3 questions for you, and these might be a little bit difficult and a little bit triggering, but all of this is for your growth. Now, whether you journal this, whether you use the Akashic Records, for those of you who haven't heard it yet, I do have a free video on YouTube on how to enter your Akashic Records that you can use, and you can adjust to ask any questions that you want to within that guided meditation. 3 questions. Number 1, can you surrender control to the divine, to the universe, to source, to God, to whatever it is that works for you? Can you give up your need to control this certain situation, this certain experience? 2, how is trying to control that situation, that experience, serving you? What is it doing in your life? That there will be a purpose to your need to control, right? It's not just it's not just about having power, but it will be serving you in some way. So how is it serving you? Most likely, it'll be serving you because in controlling this, it means that you don't have to focus on this. If you're trying to control this situation, then you don't have to address this situation. You don't have to face it. You don't have to heal it. You don't have to admit that it's not working. You don't have to admit that it's not something you want to do anymore. So how does controlling this serve you right now? And then what I would like you to do, because all of this is related to worth and power, where do you give away your power? Now, before you say you don't, or you just go, oh, well, I just let others make the decisions, and have a really blasé kind of answer, I'd like you to really stop and think, because we give away our power not just when we allow others to make the decisions for us, or when we, give up control of this, or when we do this or we do that. We give up our power when we don't follow our truth, when we're not speaking our truth, when we don't stand up for ourselves, when we feel like we have to defend ourselves. And they are two very separate things. Sometimes you need to stand up for yourself, and other times you need to just you know what, I do not have to defend myself to you, and if I am defending myself to you when I don't need to, then I'm giving away my power. How do you give away your power in terms of money, in terms of food, in terms of your body, in terms of your business, in terms of your job, your career, your relationships? There is a really long list of things in which you would be giving away your power in those situations. When I did this exercise the first time, there were about 46 things that came to mind the first time of wow, I give away my power when I do this, or when I don't do this, and when this happens, and when I allow this, or when I don't say no to this, or when I say yes to this when I don't want to, or there's this multitude of things. And this itself is a really powerful exercise for regaining your power, because you get to see those things that are really holding you back, if you like. And when you can see where you're giving away your power, then you get to take your power back. Right? So once you've done that, I'm going to add a fourth question. When you've made that list of where it is and how it is that you give away your power, how can you then take back your power? What can you do in these situations that will then allow you to take back your power and regain how powerful you are, regain that sense of worth and deservedness? So drop a comment below when you have done this. If you are brave enough, share your experience with me. I would absolutely love to hear it. And don't forget the main focus: can you surrender control to the divine? I would love to know if you can. Bye.